Yes, peeing is very important. Okay. Where are you? Peeing that long?
you open? Are you on? Am I muted? Are you open? Are you open for business?
Yeah, I was just doing some drawing.
Drawing. Okay. Hold on. I'm off this call. And okay. How are you, darling?
Good. Yeah, as good as can be, considering everything.
Are you still in Victoria? Or are you back home now? Or
No,
back?
I'm at home. I got home yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been, yeah, it's crazy times right now.
How is everybody in your house?
Oh, we're all good. Yeah. Thank goodness. And Angie in Victoria, her and her friends are fine. So it was good to spend some time with her. And it was good to be down there to see just, in a bigger population, how everybody's handling it. And I didn't really go around too much. But the few places that I went, yeah, I was actually wanting to take her to the museum. And the day before that, they had shut down the museum to the public. And I wanted to go take her to a restaurant, and restaurants are not open. So yeah, so it's just weird. It's just weird times right now. I went to my office yesterday to pick up all my files because we got the order on Monday that we'll be working from home.
Yeah.
And so I sent an email to my boss saying I'd have to come into the office today to do a check requisition for a couple of our language coordinators because I need to pay them. And I got an email back saying we're not allowed in the office.
Oh, wow.
So that was a little weird. He says Sonia's not back until Monday. She's the band administrator, and he says so nobody's allowed in the office until she's back. And I'm just like, that's just weird. So yeah, so I have like 12 days left until I'm done, and so I'm scrambling trying to get my projects finished that I'm working on for them.
Is there any chance in the light of all that's going on that they'll extend your contract?
No, as a matter of fact, my program has gone over budget. So they're scrambling, trying to figure out where they're going to draw the funds from.
Okay.
So because they only budgeted for my salary, they didn't budget for, which is dumb because the program that I'm working with right now, I wrote the proposal for it. I've got the, and so I don't know, I'm not the only one that's in charge of the budget, which is the problem. So all kinds of other things into the budget, and now they've got to take it all out because they've put all kinds of things into it, and that yeah, so yeah, no, they're not going to extend me or keep me on in any way, shape, or form, and that's fine. I find it a little disconcerting though, because it's just weird, it's like it's just weird. I've never, it's like they're just like, like,
right, like you're part of the fabric and then you're not. Is that what you mean? Like,
yeah, I was, and I mean, I did so much for that organization. I mean, I trained all their staff, everybody that came into the doors. All the girls I trained, they still come to me for my boss even comes to me for IT support, for tech support.
is it a budget thing? And what I mean by that is, like, it's funny. I was trying to explain. I'm just making myself a shake. Hold on 2 seconds. I've been online since 8 o'clock this morning. Good God, like from one call to the next call to the next call, which is great. Clearly people are moving, like motivated right now. I'm just trying to make sure I eat. Hold on a sec. Okay. So I was trying to explain to my son yesterday about noticing where there's a need and you can get paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, so like kind of like what you're talking about how they still come to you, tells me there's some kind of a need there that you fill. I'm not trying to like put you on a wild goose chase to go chase the work. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just sort of playing around in this need that you fill. Like, what is it? And the skill, it's funny. I was trying to express to my son, there's two skills, right? There's the skill of noticing, like noticing the gap that you fill, that you always fill. And then there's the skill of asking to see if someone wants to pay you for it.
Yeah.
There's two skills.
Yeah. I'm always really good at filling in the gaps, you know, like when I see that there's a gap somewhere, I'm good at filling it in. I'm not good at asking to get paid for it, and that's my problem. That's a skill that I don't have, and you know, even just trying to differentiate between a worker and a manager, you know, someone who can manage the job, but not from a worker's perspective. I have a hard time differentiating. Like, I had to redo my resume, and so there was this program that gave me a free review of my resume. And even though I've done resumes for, like, not for a living, but as part of my job, providing support, for a living, but not just strictly resumes. Even though I've done them, and I know how to, when it comes to me, I just have a hard time selling myself, and I don't know what that is. And so, you know, I some of the wording that they said was that I come across more as I'm doing the things I'm doing instead of the things I've achieved, you know, like the
Right.
accomplishments that I'm explaining things that I've done instead of explaining what benefits my doing has created, right? And so that's, yeah, I can yeah, blah blah blah.
Well, yeah, but I would even suggest, so of course in a resume, it's about the benefits because they want to know why you're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But within the word benefits is actually, and this is where you are skilled, Sharon, is identifying the need. You're very good. You're a VA. It's that whole piece of identifying what's needed before your client even knows, and then filling the gap. Like, you are adept at that. And and so from I don't know if you want to go here, but so stop me if I'm taking up time or on something else that you wanted to cover. But closing conversations, so like making your cash register ring, I call them closing conversations. Not closing conversations, what do I call them? Your closing currency. I don't know what your closing currency is yet, but the closing conversation is identifying what the need is and then just saying, I do that, if you do it.
Yeah.
And then you will have, from a sales perspective, from a selling perspective, this is like old jargon, but you'll have like a 95% closing ratio. Like when you actually identify exactly the need that you fill, the person either needs it or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And those that do need it will just hire you. Those who don't need it, you wouldn't pitch them anyway. You'd say, you know what, I think you need this, but I actually don't offer that.
Yeah.
You know?
So yes. And so I just actually went through that with Katrine, who's the owner of the Dance Business Match, when she was asking me, you know, what she really needed, and she changed what she really needed. And I'm glad it's taken that long, because it would be very frustrating to work for somebody that kept changing the job description on you. You know, like
Yeah.
it's one thing to come into an organization not knowing what your job description is, but it's another thing to come in and think, you know, it's this, and then the next day it's this, and the next day it's that. It would drive me crazy, because I need to have in my head, my goal every day, because I'm goal oriented. Every day I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to achieve this, yada, yada, yada. But she, at the end, said that she needed, you know, a PR person. And I ended up having to tell her, well, that's not what I am. And I'm sorry, I can't do that for you, because that's not what I do. But anyway, so what I'm doing now is, and I know this is not writing, or it is writing, but it's not, but it's really important for me, because I only have, and you know, my ex-husband and I had a chat yesterday. So right away, he's all worried about where, you know, what I've accomplished being away. And I said, well, you know, I didn't get the job. So I'm not looking for work until I get a job. So I'm staying here, and you know, I just want to make sure that it's still okay to stay here.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't plan on staying very long. And I have a friend who's offered me her Airbnb temporarily, and that's Nicole, thank God, you know, so I'm holding on to that, and just in case I need it. And so I said, you know, so I'm not going to overstay my welcome. And I said, but I do think I need to stay here for the month of April. And my goal is to be out of here by the end of April at the latest. And he says, well, he says, okay, he says, because I can't support you. And I said, I'm not looking for your support. I can support myself. Yeah. It's just really tough time for me. And, you know, and he keeps saying over and over again, well, you've always found work. You've always been able to keep yourself working. And so at least he has that faith in me. Sometimes I think my faith, like it's like this right now, like it's up and down, like big time. Like yesterday, I was just feeling pretty shitty for a few hours, and then I'm just like pick myself up and smacked myself around a little bit and said, okay, come on. So I actually have a list of all the First Nations in BC, and I'm going through them one by one. And I've redone my remote work notice a little bit, and I'm just emailing it to everybody.
Good.
So
good.
And then just checking them off, and I'm going through the list. And so it's going to take me a long time to get through 203 First Nations, but I'm going to do as best as I can from now through the weekend. And yeah, and just it looks like I'm going to have to start applying for it, which I don't like. I just thought by now I wouldn't have to be in this position where I have to take something. But
yeah, and here's what, and we know this, but we forget this when we're in where you are. And I know, you know, I can speak to this because I've been where you are. And I mean, like, I've been where you are. Sometimes we put out over here while we're putting out on our path. Like, so you doing your 250 email, you're like on your path. Here's your path. So you're doing what you got to do. You're doing your life's work. You're doing this, and you're putting out over here. And somehow this ends up bringing something over here, which is even better than what we thought was on the path. And we know that, but we forget, because when we're up against survival.
Well, yeah. And so then, you know, and like I said, I turned down those 3 facilitation workshops, and not to say that I'm thinking they might not even be taking place now because of what's going on. But now I'm sort of kicking myself in the butt saying, man, I wish I hadn't have done that, because. No. Thank you. Because even the reason that I turned them down was because of my integrity and him having a bad reputation, or a questionable reputation. I
You
don't
are
know.
just coming
Yeah.
out. You are just placing your flag in the ground. Your flag can't go in rocky ground.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
not worth the $1,200 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
Yeah.
You can't put your flag in rocky ground.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I just keep that in mind because, yeah, I was kicking myself earlier saying, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have turned that down. I'm certainly not going to say anything to my ex. He'd be like, what? You turned down work? You know, like,
And I want you to remember, it's not that you turned down work because for your ego. Like, oh,
oh,
I'm better than that. It's like,
no,
no, that would have cost you. It would
oh,
have cost you your, yeah.
no. Yeah. As soon as I found out, you know, like I asked her, like, why don't you work with him? Oh my God. And then she starts telling me these stories. And it's like you, when you were told, look him up, Google him. You know, when you finally start listening to the stories, finally start looking them up, it's like, ooh, do I really want to be associated with that? No, because it could hurt you in the long run.
Yeah. So start noticing things like, Tamara responded.
Yes, I have to respond to her. Did I respond?
I don't know.
No, I don't think I did
She
yet.
responded.
Yeah,
Like, that's a win.
yeah,
She's the president of Friesen Press.
yeah.
That's a and so like start noticing the wins that are outside of your usual circle of influence, because that's when you like, so you're in that place where you've said, no, I'm not going backwards. You're in that place where you're saying, yes, I am this now.
Yeah.
And so to I wish I could explain things cleanly. I always have to tell stories. Sorry. Have a little story for you.
You know what? That's the best way to you're forgetting who you're talking to.
I know. Well, sometimes I get frustrated with myself so that I can't just get to the point like Shar does. So my friend Liz Powers grew up with a single mom, socioeconomic background is, living hand to mouth. And we had this conversation one day about how hard it is to shift from one socioeconomic background to another one. It is so hard and totally doable, like totally doable. But it takes such discipline to continue to walk into the wind, like into resistance to make that change. And because there she was, single mom with 3 kids as a waitress, basically living what she said she would never live.
Yeah.
And, things have changed, but what I'm trying to say is you have broken the cycle. You've consistently in your life broken the cycle, which means that you will be tired at times because your head is, fuck, why is this always so hard? It's actually always so hard because you're walking into the wind. You are dedicated to not going back. So
Yeah.
keep going. Keep going.
Thank you for that. I'm walking in the wind. Yeah. That's why it's so hard, because those are exactly the words. Yesterday, like, why is this still, like, I'm still here, like, I can't believe I'm still here, but I'm not still here.
No, you're not. Look at what your last year was. Look what you did last year. Look how much money you made last year. Look how much money you paid to other people, that you were able to gift your life and your business and your work in the world.
This morning before the fire circle call, I was finishing up. I had to do my points for the talk that I'm giving in June in Gatineau, and that's to the HR community. And so that's, like, if that does take place, which right now they're saying that it's still on because it's in June. It's going to be quite significant for me. So the two talks that I'm giving are diversity and inclusion, what this means from an Indigenous perspective, and understanding the art of hiring Indigenous talent. And so those two, you know, that if I'm actually able to see that through, I mean, between the facilitation work and speaking, that's where my heart is. And, you know, the facilitation is threefold. It is training and facilitation. So it's still bringing in the divas for the diva program.
Yeah.
And it's doing corporate training, and it's what's the third one? and the speaking is to speak about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know if we've done this with you or not before. So grab a pen and paper.
Mm-hmm, got it.
Okay, and so at the top of your page, you're gonna. Seriously, you and Tamara have a similar sense of humor. You two are going to really enjoy each other. Yeah, she is someone I want you to be friends with for sure.
Okay.
So I want you to write the word empowerment. Like that's your gig. That's all you do. That's all you do. That's your gift in the world. That's what you do.
And that was my word today.
Yes, it was. I know. I had to smile when you said that. I'm like, yes. Okay. And so knowing that that's what you give the world, then you're going to, it's like a fork. You're going to put some legs that come out of the word empowerment. So one of the ways, and these are all legs that make money. Okay. So one of the ways we get to you by paying you to get to empowerment is as a VA.
Yeah.
Right? That's one way you make money. Eventually, that's going to be a VA as diva project, where you're not the VA.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, for right now, just put that on one so we don't get confused. VA, / diva project.
Well, yeah, I would actually prefer to do that. I would actually prefer to find work for my divas, and so that's part of the staffing solutions of the diva training and staffing solutions.
Yeah.
You need a VA, you can hire my two divas.
Yeah, but right now you'd be willing to take VA work, right?
Yeah, I'd have to. I can't say no, and I'd actually prefer VA work to working a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. So right now, VA / diva is accurate. It's true for this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, another way that you make money is facilitation.
Yep.
And that's online and offline. And this is the facilitation of like how to work digitally, right?
Well, it can be whatever. If somebody has a program they want to run, I can do it.
So connected to the word empowerment, because what you ultimately deliver is empowerment. What are the products that fit under the word facilitation? Facilitating what? Because it's not anything.
Skills development.
Great. Skills and what kind of skills?
Well, software.
So like digital skills?
Digital skills.
Okay.
Soft skills. I just applied for a job for a soft skills trainer.
Right. Oh, you'd be great at that. But just to stick it in one category, they are there's so skills development for organizations. Is that what it is, or for teams in organizations? Because I get you do soft skills and digital skills, but for what? For like people who work in offices, but What do you call
Well,
that?
they could be for teams, but it could also be individually if you wanted to, well, no, I guess people wouldn't hire me individually.
Well, that's a different thing. Right now we're under the umbrella of facilitation, because there might be another one, another fork, like another leg that's called consults, maybe. But so I think just skills is skills development, but it's for teams, offices, like management teams, like all of it, like staff. Is it staff? What it is? Staff and management. Okay.
Yeah.
Skills
Corporation.
development for staff. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if consults, I know consults are possible, but is that actually something you want to offer?
Well, yes, because it's part of, a lot of people don't know how to hire how to work with the virtual assistant or the virtual support. So you have to consult, so you have to provide consultation on how that works. So for example, I would, if you've never worked with a VA before and you're the type A who has to do everything yourself and you can't give up anything, you can't delegate. I mean, we'd have to go through your day basically to find out where.
Do people pay for that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but do have people paid for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's part of it. It's part of hiring a virtual assistant.
Because I would say for me, and I'm just using just me as an example, so I know, I wouldn't even think about that step. I would just go, I'm just going to hire a VA and they're going to tell me how I'm supposed to support them.
Yeah. But there are people who don't have a clue. They think that they need help, but they don't know how. They don't know how to integrate that help. And so they need some help with that. So then you show them the ways, and basically like there's some checklists and some like a questionnaire that they would fill out that helps them to determine how we can help them.
So what I'm trying to figure out though is on your offering where people pay you money, is that worth your time to market? Like marketing that you do one-on-one consults?
No, because I haven't. I mean, no.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's an option, but I haven't.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's an option, but
I haven't done much of it.
So let's not stick it under a fork. We know that that's part of the process. Oh, it's nice and warm in my sunroom. Holy Dinah! I'm gonna sit out here with Muttley in the sunroom. Wow.
Oh, look at that! It's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nice. Oh my God, it's so warm. So I would even put the consults under the VA/diva. Not doesn't have its own gig. But I'm curious, Sharon, if there is any one-on-one offering that you have ever considered doing.
One-on-one, like what? Like what you do?
I don't know. Yeah, like one-on-one. Is there any, and I'm not suggesting you add something to your wheelhouse. I'm wondering if there's something already there that we're not aware of.
I don't know. I think I'm good with what I offer here. The one-on-one is, I don't know. It kind of me
done, handled.
Nervous. Do I have the skills to do that? I have, yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't sound like it's in your heart anyway, so that's good. We'll just let it go. Okay, so we have VA/diva. We have facilitation. We have speaking. There's no money there yet, but as a speaker, you will get paid to speak at some point. So nice. I would put speaker there.
Yeah, so that's it.
Is there anything in the drawing stuff that you're doing right now? Like the
Graphic facilitation, I don't know. It's certainly, I'm told that a good facilitator can make $1,500 a day. But I'm not there. And yeah, that would be pretty cool to be able to get work.
yeah, you don't really want to do that, do you? You want to work in empowerment. So we're trying to get to empowerment. And no, you're right. Like that.
No, like I enjoy it. I enjoy doing what I'm doing, especially for Nashar and Denise. You know, like it's fun. It's a release for me.
Right. So why don't you stick that under
release.
Stick it under facilitation, or you could stick it under gig work. Like you could have a leg that's just gigs right now, knowing that eventually you won't be picking up gigs because you're a professional and you're a specialist. But for now, gig work is okay. So yeah, okay, graphic facilitation as gig work is one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So each of those legs, your VA/Diva project, takes your client to empowerment because you're empowering them by picking up the work.
Yeah.
Your facilitation empowers the client.
Yeah.
Through what you're facilitating. And the gig work empowers you and the client because it's what they need. Okay.
Yeah.
So notice how there isn't anything else on that page.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaker is there too.
Yeah.
And so that's it. There's nothing else to ever go on that page. That was why I was kind of like, oh, gig. Oh. Like I'm trying to get you, story from the core, to do your thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've placed your flag in the ground. So tell me a little bit about what does, when you're picking up the work for somebody so that they are empowered, what happens for them? How are they empowered?
So, for example, when I'm virtually supporting somebody.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So I have one client right now, and I've had her for a few years, and I don't do a lot for her. She hires several people to support her. And she's amazing. I love her to death. But what I know that what I provide her with is she has total faith in my ability to do the work for her. So she just hands it off and then knows that it's done. So it's a sense of relief for her. So she, and there's trust there. So she just, you know, it takes that off of her shoulders. And so, and for me, the fact that, I mean, we've worked out quite a good system, and for me, it's just when it comes in, I do my best to get it done as soon as possible, so that because what I do is I'm submitting travel claims, and so she doesn't get paid until those are submitted, right? So, or even then, it's a process. So the sooner they get in, the sooner she gets paid, and
off their shoulders, off their desk, and like off their minds.
Off their minds, yeah, completely.
Okay. Okay. So, and when you're facilitating workshops about how to like teach your teams how to be online, you're essentially giving the same thing, right? You're taking this burden of how we're going to do this off their minds, off their desks, and off their shoulders.
When I'm facilitating?
Yeah, like when these online workshops that you're considering that we're doing, right? That you're doing to help help your staff get online.
Mhm.
Right? So if I was a business owner who my staff is at home working from home, but they don't know what to do, you're actually helping me with my now online staff get the work done. So for me, I'm empowered because it's off my mind, off my shoulders, off my desk.
So when I think of the how to write standard operating procedures workshop that it was on Zoom,
Yeah.
and it was a full day.
Yeah.
What I gave them that they were surprised about, besides just how well everything ran and how well it was put together, was that they actually ended up doing a lot of the work right there in the workshop. So, so they came out with this flow chart, which was the work. Like once you have your flow chart, then you've got the process, right? And so, and she wrote that in her testimonial for me as well. That that was a wonderful addition to the workshop. So it was a surprising addition to the workshop. So. So how do I put that in words that have meaning to other people? Um, I try to utilize the time to come out with something tangible, something like that. Because most people learn by doing, and so also they really took that what I taught them away because they actually worked on it, so they knew, and I knew before leaving the end of the day that they had the process down pat. So
because what you want more than anything right now is work that's in your wheelhouse, that positions you for more work in your zone of genius.
yes, exactly. And that's why it pains me to be spending my time looking at job ads. And like I was on LinkedIn yesterday, applying to jobs on LinkedIn, and it just really, my heart just sinks thinking about it.
Your zone of genius. Okay. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I just got to write something down. I'm going to talk to you about this after.
So is it possible, Sharon, that you are, God, is it possible?
That was your hair?
Sure. Is it possible that you are making the brave shift from employee to entrepreneur?
Totally.
Which is why you're not finding work.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing, but I'm trying, well, I'm not telling my ex-husband that. But that's what I'm trying to do. And I've said that for months now. Like my idea is to, when I leave this job, that I have contract work, doing what I'm doing, so that I can just carry on doing what I'm doing. But yes, that's where my heart is. That's what I really want to be doing.
Okay. And so you're in the gap between, which is why you'll have to pick up small gigs, right, to survive. Probably. I mean, maybe not. Maybe something awesome will come in. But most people don't go from 0 to 100 like that. Not that it's impossible. Not that it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying I want this for her. And we're going to prepare for impact should it not be that. So the one I just want to name, that's why you're not getting work right now.
Yeah.
Because it's actually out of alignment for you to have a job. It's out of alignment for you to have a job. So to pick up contract work, what I would suggest you do, and maybe you have this already in your in your field, like where do people post for contract work? Like I know when I was in your position, I used to look at, like before I did core story stuff, when I was looking for PR work, when I was a publicist, or when I was in the arts world, I used to go to all the arts boards. Like there was Vancouver Cultural Alliance used to post all the jobs. Is that out there for you for one, facilitator work, and two, for this for administrative support?
I don't know. I think I'm doing everything I can. Like I thought even Craigslist, I could put,
No, like I don't mean like general public. I mean like in the sector that I worked in at the time, it was the arts. Like what sector would you put yourself in? And maybe that's the problem. Maybe we don't have one.
yeah. You know, like I told Angie that I had applied at the Victoria Native Friendship Center, and she goes, "Mom, you don't have to always be working for, you don't have to apply just with Indigenous organizations, you know." And I said, "I know that." And then I thought, do I really know that? You know, like,
What do
you
you
know,
want, though, aside from what? I mean, you can
well,
play.
I empower Indigenous women, so I want to work with Indigenous women, and so it's important for me to be putting myself out there. But it's not just Indigenous women, you know, and it's not even just Indigenous women. It could be Indigenous men. But right now, I'm focusing on them because they need the help, and I need to raise them up to where at a certain level, and then I can concentrate on. Not to say that I'm excluding, but you know, Katrine's comments ring true, that I'm disregarding half of, like I'm losing half of the population when I just pick women, right?
Yes. However, so my work in the world is to connect you to what you're made for.
Yeah.
It's not who you can. And I really understand that perspective. When you've been in survival for as long as you have, and not even, you actually haven't been in survival for that long, but when your formative years and your formative career years are based on survival, it's like that you have a neural pathway about being everything for everybody so that there's a paycheck, because the neural pathway says just work.
Yeah.
Right? But you're in that, well, you're actually a number of steps out of that already. But this is that piece I was saying, that moving from one socioeconomic background to another is really fucking hard, because you actually have to create new neural pathways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am asking you to sit with not who can you serve, who are you made to serve?
And it goes back to me and my purpose. Like everything that I've gone through in my life has led me to this position. And, you know, I believe that all the hardships that I have suffered as an Indigenous woman are why I am drawn towards working with Indigenous women.
Are you made to serve Indigenous women?
Yes,
Sure.
I am.
Okay. And are you made to serve Indigenous men?
Well, you know, I gave that the public speaking. It was all men. It was the public speaking, and one of the fellas just texted me 2 days ago and said, "Thank you. That was an awesome workshop." And you know, it's made him a better speaker just in 2 days. And so that was, you know, I empowered him.
Yeah.
Not just him, but I empowered a group of men that, you know, like several of them were dead set against having anything to do with the workshop. And then at the end, you couldn't shut one of them up. You know, it's like he's going on past 10 minutes and had other people to speak to, had other people to speak still. So
let's look at your offerings. You've got 4 offerings in your fork, right?
Yep.
Good. Okay. And let's go and look at them, and let's clarify your market. So looking at the first one, VA and DIVA, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, does it matter? Are you specializing?
Diva is it, I want it to be Indigenous women.
Then write Indigenous. And only Indigenous. Period. Unless, I mean, you know, we never say never, and I mean that because sometimes something is divinely placed, but we need to know it's divinely placed.
Right. So, for example, I've got a proposal out with Tisha right now, and it'll be 80% Indigenous women. But like, if we got the contract, if we got the proposal, the funding, we would be working with 80% Indigenous women.
Right.
So
great. Okay,
yeah.
so in that particular fork, we have mostly Indigenous.
Yeah.
On the VA sector, do you care? Or section, do you care? As a VA, do you care?
No.
Great. So anyone, right? Anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, facilitating, and this is from in your heart, like totally from your heart. Indigenous women, Indigenous men, anyone.
Anyone.
Anyone, you'll facilitate anyone. You're made to facilitate. I'm not questioning you out, like challenging you.
Oh, I enjoy it very, very, very much.
Okay, so facilitating anyone,
Yeah.
like any group,
Yeah.
not any group, but I know in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Okay. Speaking.
Well, I'm more Indigenous than non-Indigenous, but I have, as a Toastmaster, I have spoken. I think it's important to speak to non-Indigenous because you need to teach them about Indigenous ways.
Okay, so put that down. So we'll say mostly Indigenous, about Indigenous. I want you to know, Sharon, I'm not suggesting that you would never deviate from this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suggesting that right now, and until it is absolutely owned by you, that what you are made to do, you won't break the membrane of survival. Because the part of you that won't select is the part of you that just wants to keep making sure that you have money coming in, which is survival.
Yeah.
And we've got to get through the membrane.
Yeah.
We've got to get through the membrane.
So I've asked Charlene the same question. How long did it take you
To build?
to own?
What I do?
Yeah.
Took me 5 years coming out of Live Your Best Story. Not Live Your Best Story, coming out of Arbonne.
Arbonne, yeah, okay. I was going to say I didn't think
Not Live Your Best Story. Took me like and so I think 2012 was the year was when the rumbling started, and I think Live Your Best Story started in 2015, I think, and that was my beginning. So the rumbling started in 2012. I didn't actually put my flag in the ground until I started working with Chris, which would have been, we're in 2020 now. Yeah, like 2016, 17. So it was incremental. It was Live Your Best Story, and then Core Story. So it took me about 2-3 years of transition where I was not where you are, a bit further along, but I still hadn't really firmly planted. It wasn't until I put that video out about I'm a living story person, which was 3 years ago. And the year I put my flag in the ground, I made $15,000. And this last year I made $54,000 or 52 as a story coach.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I know.
In 1 year, you've gone from, like, in 1 year.
Oh no, I went 3 years. So it was like 15,000. So 3 years ago it was 15,000, and now
But were you calling yourself a story coach 3 years ago?
No, I was a coach.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
You fully owned your story coach, like just over
Yeah.
a year.
Well, I think yes, fully. I guess you would say that's true. Yeah. Where I don't do anything but story coach. Yep. I would say that's true. I don't do anything but story coach.
See, that's where I need to, go.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And yeah. Yeah.
And so hooking back into empowerment, facilitation, and I'm going to say it, and Indigenous. It's not that they have to be Indigenous. I think it's something about marginalized and mostly at risk. But I want you to you got to paint the picture. It's like, would you be working with white women on the downtown east side and turning them into VAs? I'm going to say no. I don't think so. And it's not that you couldn't. I just don't think that's who you're called to work with.
It's not. No.
And to be really honest, I now know I only work with people who are called.
Yeah.
Last year I worked with some who weren't called, and it was like, why is this so hard? This feels hard. The work is still the same, but it was so hard.
And thank you for clarifying something, because so somebody else brought that to my attention. Maybe you mentioned it the other day, but somehow that was brought to my attention again. And that is why I'm not getting work, because it's not aligned with me anymore. It's not that's why I'm not getting these jobs that I've been applying for. It's but even when I applied for them, I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. It was a job that was going to pay the bills, and so that's why when I came out of that one in Victoria, I knew that I wasn't going to get it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Because I'm very intuitive, and I could sense that throughout the whole, plus I probably was just looking like I didn't want to be there, even though I was trying to be there, Anyways.
You know what I want to say? I really get that it's not about just the indigenous people, but I think there's something about the Indigenous way. Like, I'm not Indigenous, and I wouldn't even say that I'm of the Indigenous way, but I resonate with the Indigenous way.
Yeah, like the seven grandfather teachings, right? Like,
yes. And so I would put that in your awareness, that it doesn't have to be Indigenous people, but there's something about the Indigenous way. And then start, and so so you've got your list of 250. That's great. That's all your job is to do, is like you're effectively, Sharon, every morning you are shaking hands with God. Or every morning, I don't even like that term for you, you're effectively saying, I'm here for you, Grandmother Spider. I'm here. Yes, I am saying, every morning you say yes to Grandmother Spider. And the way you do that is you only do what she's called you to do. So it's the 250 person list. After that, on your goals, in fact, when you need a break from your 250 person list, your job is to like dig into organizations that like research what are the organizations locally that have a 7-generational approach.
Mm-hmm.
These are like, when I ask you what sector do you work in, might not be a sector, but there's like a realm, a mindset, a focus that they all have. Because when you walk in the door, they're going to be her. She feels like us. And then she's going to be like, oh, she does this thing that we need, and she feels like us.
Yeah.
Oh, and she happens to be Indigenous too? Wow. She feels like us, she does what we need, and she's Indigenous. Diversity. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate your coaching the last few days. I mean, I always appreciate it, but especially the last few days where I feel like I've just nothing else is going to be beneficial to me except for what we've been doing, because I'm where I'm at right now, and I can't concentrate on writing unless
Yeah.
it's redoing my resume or improving a cover letter or something, writing my notices to get some facilitation work, that sort of thing. I was just wondering about Chris.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I could probably benefit from some coaching from him. And I know that our time is done now with Story from the Core.
Yeah, but I don't think you ever utilized him in the way that you could, did you? Did you? I think I don't remember what he offered. I know he did the readings, but did you ever have a session with him?
I had the one where he gave me the recordings,
I don't, you know what? Send him an email. I will send him an email and CC you in it. Because I'm not sure if your work with him is done, but if it's not, if there's another session in there, have it.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
If not, I would like to see what's available.
Yeah.
Of course, I've got limited funds, but I'll be able to work something out, I hope.
Yeah.
I feel like I need some spiritual guidance right now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I want to acknowledge the reality of the stickiness of the breakthrough you're in. Not to make it harder and not to make it easier, just to acknowledge it's real. Like, it's real. And to keep encouraging you to press into and through the stickiness, because you're doing a thing that's really hard to do. You're breaking a socioeconomic pattern.
Yeah.
You're breaking a survival pattern. And I think sometimes we can beat ourselves up because we're not where other people might be, or we don't think the way Charlene thinks, who just, she just, I'm going to go do it, and boom, she does it. And I'm not dissing her in any way. It's her, one, her instrument is different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
Two, her engine revs differently than yours. And she's in a different place in the work of her resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you are doing great work. You're doing exceptional work right now.
Thank you.
I called Isabel about a month ago, and I said, I just need you to tell me to keep going. That's all. I just need you to, I just need a Vox that says keep going. And her response back to me was, motherfucker Overbury, keep going, because I promise you what's on the other side of this is easier than going back.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I think she also said, and what's coming for you is easier than where you are right now too. And that was all I needed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
The wind.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
There was something that Charlene, because I had just had a quick chat with her on Voxer before our call. I just wanted to quickly listen to that last little bit, because she asked me to talk to you.
But for me today, I think the two questions that I'm going to ask them will actually turn into those fire circle questions at the beginning. If that theme of day one is reclaiming our human spirit, then the questions would be, what does, in your opinion, from your perspective, what does reclaiming our human spirit look and feel like to you?
Wow.
And the second question, I would have emotions focused.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to probably, I think it's in the middle of that. So I will re-listen to that, and I will Voxer you the question, because she said she overheard me say that I was or she saw that I mentioned that we would be, so she says, when you're having your conversation with Tina, talk about or something, and I can't remember what it was. So.
This has something to do with your gifting on offering empowerment. There's something about human spirit and empowerment.
Yeah,
it's okay. It'll come.
Yeah, and so then we have our call at noon. Gosh,
Yes.
what a day. It's a,
I know. And I've
those
got to
days.
this onto another person's call who's got an article in Forbes. Yay!
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm working with her, and then I'll be on the noon call. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Love
you.
you.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, honey.